Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is a Christmas video featuring Lawn Fawn stamp sets, and it is a challenge and a collaboration with a new YouTube and Instagram friend that I have made. Her name is Candice and her YouTube channel is Candoodle. You can also find her on Instagram. We started chatting and thought it would be really fun to do a video collaboration featuring our favorite Lawn Fawn stamp sets, like this one, the Car Critters, which is my favorite, and challenge each other to make Christmas cards with them. And with the new Christmas add-on, this was a really easy one to do for Christmas. Lots of fun. Here's the images I stamped and colored and die cut out for today's card. I also threw in the little Santa from Tiny Christmas, and I'll be using the Build-A-House die set along with the Christmas add-on to make a house that will be part of the scene for this card. So I cut the base of my house out with some light gray cardstock and am doing the accents for this house in a darker gray cardstock. So I'm just going to adhere all those pieces together to create my house using mostly liquid glue and a little bit of foam squares for that second part of the roof to pop it up. I always like popping up that roof on this house. If you like this house, I actually did an entire monthly series on this particular Build-A-House, so I will link my Lawn Fawn playlist at the end of this video, and you can check out my Build-A-House videos. I have 4 or 5 of them, so lots of fun with this die set. I love it so much. So now I'm using the Christmas add-on to make my red and green lights there, just doing a little bit of paper piecing and then gluing that on the top roof, and then I'll do the same for the second set of lights. And this wreath is actually from the Car Critters Christmas add-on, and it is kind of bigger than the one in the Christmas add-on for the die set of this house. That's confusing, right? So I thought it would be fun just to add that stamped element there on the upper window, and there is my house. So we'll set that aside, and I'm going to work on my background. I die cut a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock using the large frame from the Lift the Flap Slimline die set. This will give you a 3x8 panel so that you can layer it on top of the larger panels for your slimline card. And I'm using Chip Sapphire to create my nighttime sky. And I have to tell you, this is the first time I've used this color, and I'm loving it. I'm, gradually adding to my Distress Oxide collection, and it was so fun to play with a new color and have a dark blue. And I'm going to go around the edge of that with a touch of the black soot, and then I'll just bring in a tiny bit more of that chipped sapphire to blend them together. And I love this nighttime sky. I'm going to spritz that with some water and then pick that up with a paper towel, and you'll see the beautiful oxidization that makes. Now I have another panel here. You can see this isn't the same color. That's because I'm not ink blending on this one, so I didn't need to use Bristol Smooth paper. So I'm just figuring out about how far down I need my hill to go, and I'll tape on that hillside border and die cut that out. So now my house can sit on the hill, and I can tell there I needed a little bit more ink before adhering everything down. So I'm bringing in my blending brush that had the chipped sapphire on it without adding any ink, and just doing a little bit more to bring that farther down. Now I'm going to die cut with that same die a piece of black cardstock, and that same hillside border I'm using to create my own road. Now there are road dies. When I went to buy them back when I did a series on the Car Critter stamp set, also in my Lawn Fawn playlist, the road die sets were all sold out, so I never got any. So I thought I would just be clever here and make my own road. And now I'm going to put the little nose onto my car. Now if you are sad that you missed me coloring these images, I do have all the coloring in the video for the second card I'm going to make, so you can watch that coloring over there. And now I'm going to add some liquid Stardust to both of these panels. One is the ground that's all snowy, and one's the night sky, and it's just going to start snowing in my night sky. Now here's the brush I use for splattering. It works really good for fine splatter. You can see here how that is just a really light dusting, like small little splatters. And now we can start adhering all the pieces together to create our scene. So there's my snowy hill, and then I'll add my road there, which has been freshly groomed, so it's not slippery. Yay. And then I'll add my house sitting on top of the hill and a little Santa on top of the house. Now he could be a decoration or it could just really be Santa. And then the trees, also from the Car Critters Christmas add-on, I added on either side of the house. I popped up my car and I wanted some stripes on my car, like the roads that go down the lines that go down the middle of the road. So I used this arrow from my reveal wheel die set, and I just snipped off the arrow and glued those down to make the lines on the road. And now for my sentiment, it says, driving by to say Merry Christmas. I'll emboss that with white on some red cardstock, and that will be the perfect saying for this card, I think. So the story for my scene is a story from my own life. Near Christmas time, sometimes even on Christmas Eve, my family all loads up into our truck and we drive around the city looking at Christmas lights. And some of the best lights are actually up on this hill, and so we like to go up there and look at all the pretty houses and decorations, and we take hot cocoa and popcorn and listen to Christmas music, and we just love it. My parents come too. We have a truck where we can sit 6 people, so it's just a good, fun family tradition that we like to do. I put a stack of packages from that Car Critters Christmas add-on inside the door, and this tree with the bulbs on it is actually from the Yeti or Not set. Now this background paper I'm using for my card is actually digital background paper, and I print and cut that out using my Cameo Silhouette. If you're interested in learning more about that, just let me know. I know not everybody does the Cameo Silhouette, and so if you want to, ask me questions. And I do have some videos where I use it. The last one seemed to overwhelm people a little bit when I showed my Cameo Silhouette creating, so I did not include that in this video, but I am more than happy to talk to you about it and steer you in the right direction if you're interested in doing that. So that finishes up card number 1. I loved how it turned out. Okay, so for card number 2, Candice picked the stamp set Mermaid for You. So I'm going to make a Christmas card with an under the sea theme, and I'm showing you here all the stamp sets that I used. I will have them listed and linked for you below, and I just wasn't sure if I could pull this off, but I had an idea in my head, and I decided I was gonna take the challenge and jump right in and give it a go, making a mermaid Christmas card. So I'll show you the coloring here. I'm outlining my rock with my darkest color, which was C8, and then I actually am using a lot of gray markers. I kind of challenged myself to repeat some of the same design elements that I did in my first card on to my second card, and one of those was to use the same color of markers. So I am using the same C8 that I used on the wheels to my car for my rock, and just blending those out with the lighter colors. And I colored the other 2 rocks also from the Octopus Selfie stamp set. So I had more than 1 rock in my scene. I liked that. And then I'm coloring out my mermaid, so she has some Christmas colors on her outfit. And I feel like adding Christmas colors to non-traditional Christmas images helps give them more of that Christmassy feel. So now I'm coloring in the mermaid's hair with my E23, which is also the brown that I used on the trunks of the tree. And then E13, I am bringing that in. I had used it on the last card, but I didn't still have it in my little cup here, along with a couple other colors. So I threw those in, and then I'm going to use the E13, E11, and E00 for the mermaid skin. I kind of wanted her to look like my daughter Hannah. That's kind of her hair color. So this little mermaid, we're going to call her Hannah. Yeah, she's cute. Okay, then on to Santa's suit. I am using my lightest color, R17, and then I'll bring in my darkest color, which is R39, and add those where I want the shadowing to be. And I'll blend that out with R29, which is my mid-tone, and then I always bring back in my lightest to blend those out. So there's Santa's red suit. And then a little C2 and C0 to add the shadows to the white parts of his outfit. And then I used Y08 and E13 to make his gold buckle. Layering that bright yellow with that tan color gives it more of a look of gold. And then I'll color out his skin with the same colors that I already had out that I used on the mermaid. And then I'll give them some pink cheeks, and I colored the seashells pink. And then let's check out the blue colors I also used on the car for my first card, and I'm going to use it on this octopus. It's the smaller of the two in that set, and I did let's see, B24 for my lightest color, and then B29 for my darkest shadows, and I'll blend that out with B28. And I just think this octopus is so cute. I love all the little curls in his legs, tentacles. Anyways, he's cute. And then I'll bring back in my lightest color and blend that out. And it's the same colors that I used on the little fish over there, which I did color to look like Dory. I love Dory. My car is a blue Ford Escape. And if you ever have seen Finding Nemo, you would know this, but she sees a sign that says escape and she says escape. Do you remember that? It's a long time ago. Anyway, so my car is named Dory because it's a blue, just like her blue, Ford Escape. There's a little bit too much information about me and how I am weird. Okay, so now let's color up this palm tree. You can see that I bent the palm tree. It is normally straight, but being a clear stamp, you can easily bend those, and I wanted mine leaning to one side, so I did that. All right, so there's all my colored images. I'm going to die cut some of these out, but I don't have a die set for the Mermaid for You set. When I bought it, the die set was sold out. Also, this tree is curved, so I did use my Pick Scan mat for my cameo silhouette to cut out some of these images. All right, now I have that same die cut panel from the Lift a Flap slimline set, and I'm going to die cut that through the middle with a wave border, and I'm going to use both pieces. So the top half will be one scene, the bottom half will be another scene, just like in my first card. I had the house at the top and the car at the bottom. So this time I'm going to have a Santa scene at the top and the mermaid scene at the bottom. So for my lightest color on my blended sea background or ocean background, I'm using Mermaid Lagoon. I had to. It has the word mermaid in it. It's obvious. And then I'm going to bring back that Chip Sapphire to darken up the bottom for kind of an ombre look, but also, you know, like the sea gets darker as it goes down. So I splattered that with some water and picked up the excess with my paper towel. It looks amazing. And then, of course, I added some liquid stardust and splattered that on with that same cool paintbrush and a little piece of acetate to brush that off on for the perfect splatter. All right, and now I have this little sandy beach stamp from that Life is Good set that the palm tree came from. I'm going to stamp that on this top panel, and that will create the little sandy beach or island. And then I also stamped it, but without re-inking it, onto some masking paper so I can mask that off and create my nighttime sky for this piece. And I'm using just Chip Sapphire this time. I'm not going to bring in that black soot for this one, so you can kind of see the difference between the two different skies. Both nighttime skies, another way that I am bringing in an element from the other card. And I'll spritz that with water. This time I did a fine mist, and I also forgot to take off my mask before I wet it. So I'm drying that with a heat tool, and then it comes off easy peasy. So if you ever do that and wet your mask and it doesn't want to peel off, then just heat it up with your heat tool and it will come off magically. All right, I'm coloring in that island with those same E markers that I used on my images, and I will have the top be lighter and have the highlight because that's kind of where the starlight or the moonlight is hitting it, even though I don't have a moon. So now I'm showing this part super fast. This is where I kind of figure out what I want my card to look like. I lay out all the pieces everywhere, and then once I have figured out kind of where I want them, then I will come in with the glue and the foam squares and really commit and start sticking things down. So that's what I'm doing here, gluing down my palm tree onto that island. I cut the claw of the little crab out so that he could hold the nice list up for Santa. Santa's going to be on that island, and he has a present that he's going to lower down to the mermaid, or maybe he just tosses it in. What I really wanted was for Santa to be holding a fishing pole and lower it down to her, but I didn't have that stamp. Now I need it, don't you think? Yeah, I need to find me a little fishing pole. All right, so I'm gluing down all the images. By the way, that seaweed and coral was stamped with some Lawn Fawn ink, jalapeno ink for the seaweed, and the coral was lobster. Had to use that. But it's like the perfect red. It's such a crisp ink. I love it. So I added some bubbles using the Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxide ink and these little fish just to bring some more depth and interest into that background with that tone-on-tone stamping. And I'm loving how my Under the Sea image turned out. I haven't done many Under the Sea cards. Like my mermaid set, all my Under the Sea sets have barely been used. I've done beach scenes, but Under the Sea not so much, and I had so much fun with it. So I brought in my white gel pen and I highlighted everything, but I wanted to show you how I added some little dots to this octopus, and it really made me so happy with how cute it turned out. I loved it. All right, so here you can see all the finished dots. Once I added the dots to the octopus, I added it here and there and repeated that, and I really like how it turned out. I even went back and added it on the sand for the little island, and it just looks really good for, I don't know, sand or under the water things that would have bubbles on them, or yeah, tentacles, the little suckers on the tentacles. I thought it was a nice look. So I'm adding this to another piece of digital paper that I printed and cut out, and I used the Lawn Fawn largest stitched rectangle from the large slimline with sliders die set. I also created my own sentiment in my Silhouette Design Studio where I typed out the font and I put it onto a colored rectangle and printed it out. I did 2 different sizes and 2 different colors because I wasn't sure. I ended up going with the smallest red one, and it says, "Have a mermazing Christmas." I did not have a Christmas sentiment or couldn't figure out one to stamp from other sets that I had that I liked, so I just made my own. So there you go. Have a mermazing Christmas. And repeating another design element from the first card, I brought in my glaze and added that to the bubbles and where the water meets the sand there. So just like I had it on my Christmas bulbs and my car headlights in my first card, I added some to this. So there are my 2 cards. I had a lot of fun collaborating with Candice and getting to know her a little bit better, making a new crafty friend. It was a lot of fun, and I have to say her pick of the Mermaid for You stamp set was a challenge for me, but in the end, I love a challenge because it takes me out of my comfort zone, and I always make something that surprises me a little bit. And so I just really had fun with it. So now I'm going to have a link to Candice's video below, and you can click that and head over and see what she did with this challenge. Okay, it's going to be great. She is a brand new YouTube channel, so if you haven't found her already, make sure that you subscribe and show her some love, leave her some comments, and I will see you all again very soon with the next video. Happy stamping. Bye.